Welcome to the heart and soul of outdoors radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. In our 11th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where we never let the lack of facts come between us and a good story. Guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your host, Gary McCoy, who's no stranger to the radio world or the outdoors, with a CMA to his credit for best personality. A well-accomplished outdoorsman who loves the thrill of taking a big buck or putting a bass in the live well. Mike Eccles, born and raised in Louisiana, who's fished and hunted his entire life and continues to chase ducks in the backwaters and pull bass off cypress trees. And the Boss Tournament Trail Director who runs the best team circuit in Louisiana. Steve Graff, raised in the woods and waterways of East Texas, a former Northwestern State two-sport athlete and tournament angler who continues to strive for big bass and winning stringers. And last but not least, Jay Watley, the brains and producer of the show who pushes all the right buttons, a man with unmatched talent who excels in making these guys look good and this show sound great. Now let's jump off the front deck and make the first cast with the boys who know it all, Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, thank you for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. It is Gary McCoy, along with the Ranger Iowa Pro staffer Steve Graff. That's me. The Mud Hen, Mike Eccles in the house. And Jay's
happy
gone.
to be here.
And Jay's gone again this week.
He is.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We got.
Hey, Puff did a great job last week.
He did a wonderful job. And I told him that a while ago. He did a great job.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're excited to have Puff again this week. Hey, this part of the show brought to you by Steve Nichols and Specialty Traco. Despino and Jim South Tire and Bayou Outdoor Super Center kick off this fall with a new camper or motorhome from Bayou Outdoor Super Center in Bossier City. Really cool show today because we're going to take you all the way from a Baptist preacher to a man who
to Mike Eccles.
To a man, yeah, the Baptist preacher to a man in the FLW, to a man in the FLW who is good with a big worm.
There you go. Nothing wrong with being good with a big worm. That comes in handy once in a while.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
especially you get the right brush.
Exactly.
And that was the trick for the FLW.
Get a little hairy at times.
That's what. He's the deacon. And you see where he's going with it.
Y'all embarrass me.
I am too. I'm fixing to cry.
Oh,
no, my preacher, Kevin Spinney's going to be on the show with us here at 11:15. Also, Andy Young today from Felsenthal Management. We've got Candyman Pet Lodge owner Wayne Neeson. We're going to talk dog discipline, or maybe the lack thereof.
Yeah.
That seems to be what generally you don't ever hear anybody go, oh, your dog is so well behaved. Your dog is just sitting over there. What you hear is, can you get that blah, 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 blah off of my couch?
Your dogs mind, Gary? Do they mind?
They will make one mistake.
Yeah.
That's it.
And with Julie? And
No. Julie is, oh, my God.
Is she easy on?
Oh, Lord. Julie likes dogs better than people.
Don't hurt that puppy.
Yeah, But I'm like, hey, you see, you there's your one shot.
Yeah.
That's it. You got to make one mistake.
Next thing you're going to see is my boot.
Yeah. I just and probably I'm
I
wrong.
hit mine the other day with a tiki torch.
Did you really?
Yes, sir.
I treat the dogs like my daddy treated us kids.
Yeah.
Whatever's close is what I'm gonna hit you with.
If you hadn't heard it before, this week's final word is a good one.
Okay. Whatever was close, Daddy would beat you with it. We've also got the FLW Cup champion Clint Davis, who was dynamite there on Lake Ouachita. Digging fish out of 25 to 30 foot brush tops, and it was pretty cool because our own Nick LeBrun in second place going into the final day slipped to fourth, but still the fact is, he had a chance to be in the history books as being the All-American and then winning the FLW Cup.
But did you hear what he said was the highlight of the whole event for him?
Getting to pray that Sunday morning.
When they got to ask him to say the prayer before takeoff.
On Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick said the prayer?
And
Oh, that's cool.
And he said that, it was great to make the top 10.
Yeah.
But he said his real highlight was to get to say that prayer. And you did a great job.
Oh, well, I don't doubt
and he wasn't baptized, but, just here recently. So
I've told a couple of people, get ready, because FLW Tour is in for
they're in for a rude awakening.
Nick is going to be he'll be one of the top guys for Rookie of the Year.
They're going to get LeBrun.
I'll go ahead and pre-predict it. Nick is very good. He's going to do a great job.
He will not be a one-hit wonder.
No, he will not. No.
Also on the show today, Kelly Kelly Matkins, event coordinator with Holy Angels. We're getting ready for next weekend's Big Bass Tournament. Of course, it is a scramble. You can fish Caddo, Toledo, Bistineau, Black Lake, Grand Bayou, Cross Lake,
Red River.
Yeah. I think that's all the bodies of water.
Good job.
Hey, look at that one go.
Top of your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I start to say it's not next weekend. But you're right. It's not this weekend. Next week. I'm sorry.
Questioned you.
I'm sorry.
He questioned you.
I did not. I didn't even say it until you asked me what I was thinking.
He's weak. He's been duck hunting shopping.
Oh, he's starting to grow. He's starting to grow feathers. He's getting so ready.
I'm going today to work on duck line.
What do you got?
Really?
You're about 3 weeks from teal season.
Third weekend of. Second or third weekend of September.
I thought it was a second weekend, but it might be the third.
I think it's
if
the
it is,
third,
then
yeah.
you're still a month off.
I hope it's the third because we have another tournament to help with for
September the 8th.
Yes, for the gingerbread house.
Yeah.
on the 8th. Yeah.
And question for you on this: is the number one enemy in teal season wasps?
I was just going to tell him take his wasp spray with him.
Is that the number one enemy? Wasps
Well,
and
depending on
snakes?
where you hunt.
Yeah.
If you hunt Lake Bistineau, the number one enemy is airboat spraying.
Oh,
Really?
Did they come out real early?
Oh yeah.
Just right
Are
by
you
you?
serious?
They got a job to
They
do.
will spray your blind while you're in it. That's all the green stuff on the lake, and they go there and squirt poison on it.
Man,
Got it all over my biscuit one
I
morning.
was on the north end last Friday afternoon and Saturday.
No, actually, the number one deal is mosquitoes.
I would
We
believe
run
that.
2 to 3 thermocells every morning and blind during teal season.
Wow.
Greatest invention ever, right there.
We want to welcome Rio Ammunition, our newest sponsor, and just tickled to death to have them because they have started showing up everywhere, and they've proven themselves a true, not only a market competitor, but a market leader.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Good
So
product.
if you're looking to stock up for this upcoming duck season, they'd be glad to hook you up. You said they've got them at Cypress Knee.
Cypress Knee Outdoors is carrying them, and they're carrying the steel shot for the WMA guys. They have steel shot over at Davis
Davis,
Clothing
yeah.
and Outdoor.
And does Davis carry their steel shot for duck hunting as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
They
you get the
they
whole
just don't
steel-
have any lead shots.
Okay,
Right,
gotcha.
no lead.
This week's Facebook sponsor spotlight: Bellevue Meat Processing. Their brand new hours. What do they start
8 till 3, Tuesday through Friday.
8 till 3 Tuesday.
Starting August 21st.
Okay, now that means that's next Tuesday.
Yeah.
That means that by October 1, with bow season, that's when they'll start running 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Opening up about 7 o'clock in the
they're
morning.
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
He's,
24/7.
Yeah,
Call-
just call Chris.
yeah, he'll come back.
We'll give his number out later on.
Yeah, don't you know that'd be the quickest way in the world to dissolve a partnership?
Oh, ain't no doubt.
Giving Chris Nesbitt's cell phone number. You guys did what?
Yeah.
Also, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, with the FLW championship this past week, one of the things that occurred to me was the coverage that we get now. Doesn't it kind of just rob the thunder of the weigh-ins?
What do you think? I mean,
I love them. I think it was kind of weird.
I love it.
My
I
buddy
love it.
Brett Thomas, who I know is listening right now, was keeping me posted with Nick because he knew I was busy with the other show and I had a bunch of things going.
Right.
And when Nick jumped right out and was like leading the thing the first 4 or 5 hours of the tournament on that Friday, I was like, oh, my God, look at this.
Yeah.
And, by the day's end, he had fallen to second, which he maintained going into day 2.
Right.
And all the way into day 3. But I was thinking, it kind of steals that magic of the weigh-in.
well, and I think part of the problem, too, was the fish catching was so difficult.
Yeah.
And the bites were few and far between.
Right.
So it made for monotonous live FLW.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just sitting there watching
They
those
needed
guys
us
chunk
doing
and
that
wind all day.
we'd have turned Eccles loose.
Oh, ain't no doubt.
They
Yeah.
needed
We'd have
our
our
them to buy the
narration.
biggest liability policy that they have and just cut Eccles
We'd
loose.
have had more big worm stories than they could handle.
we could have brought Hot Springs to its knees.
Yeah, ain't no doubt.
What do you think?
But you're right. The fish catching was so slow. What bit I watched it, you could tell because they showed the same live clip
over and over.
You know, I mean, you'd watch somebody catch the same, 3 or 4 times catch that same fish, or miss a fish. It was real repetitive because there just wasn't a lot of content.
Now Nick did have the biggest fish of the event.
Yeah, 6-pounder.
And then Clint had the biggest stringer of the event the final day.
Yeah.
And here's my question. First off, it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
The way it turned out is the way it was supposed to turn out.
Sure.
Hats off to Nick as a friend, a friend of the show, a friend of ours.
Yeah.
He's just he's going to make it. Yeah. No doubt in my mind. Nick O'Brien's going to make it. My question is, was it better for somebody their first year
to be an unknown, kind of
to win the cup, or have to fish a couple of years and earn it?
Yeah.
What's better for you?
Good question.
Mentally and sponsor-wise.
Wow. I guarantee.
If he won it the first year, he's got no place to go but down.
Well, but I guarantee he has nothing but promise in regards to sponsorship.
Shoot.
Yeah, and I will say this about Nick. His faith is so strong in his ability, not just in his ability, but his faith with God.
And not in a cocky way.
Oh, no, you're right, Mike. Not in a cocky way. But he is a very confident angler. I talked to Kevin Jean, who's V&M manager over there down in Nagant. They fish a lot of stuff. They've gone fishing together in the boat a lot. He said, Graham, I'm telling you, when you get in a boat with Nick, he is the best angler I have been with that can look at the water and read the water and say, this is what we need to be doing. And he's confident when he says it, and he goes and does it. He said, that's what's always amazed me every time I get in a boat with him. He can read water.
Well, I'm going to say, though, that, in answer to your question, Mike, I think hitting a home run right out of the box will take the pressures of needing to win out of the equation.
But there's something to be said for earning
financially. It's taking all of that out of the equation. And there's a lot of those guys that after a couple of years, whether you're fishing the elites or the FLW, it ain't cheap, baby.
They just run out of money.
And they do.
That's it.
And I think that's gone.
See, but I don't see that happening to Nick because I think Nick is going to do it. He's going to stay at the top.
Yeah.
And that's just a question. What was better for Nick's fishing career?
Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah.
But he handled. I'd have been up there crying like a baby. I'd have been blaming somebody else.
Kleenex would have been my official sponsor for the next year.
Well, Clint Davis was the winner, and he's only been around 5-6 years now. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2012.
Right.
And he credits Mr. Twister. He says, if it wasn't for this worm, he said that buzzworm is what did the trick for him, and that and a swim bait. And he had seen that. He said he got his butt shellacked pretty good the first time he was on the water. And I don't remember who he was fishing with, but it was a pretty well-known pro. And he says, he just kicked my tail all over this lake with a swim bait and a big worm. And he says, so I knew when I got here that I was looking for fish that would hit that.
Right.
And that final day, that big bag did it for him. Goes from 10 to 1.
Yep.
Real quick, we got some outdoor news. Texas has some hunting changes for 2018 and 19. New regulations that hunters will see this fall include an early opener for dove season in the South Zone, a mule deer season in Lynn County, experimental mule deer antler restrictions, and, as me and Mike talked about earlier, an increase in northern pintail bag limit, and a 1-week reduction in spring eastern turkey season for 2019 in 13 counties. Here's a couple. Again, the opening season of South Zone will be September 14th. That's the earliest starting date ever in this region since 1950. The eastern turkey hunting season, and the reason why I posted this because this is our area. Bowie County, Cass, Fannin, Grayson, Jasper, Lamar, Marion, Nacogdoches, Newton, Panola, Polk, Red River, and Sabine will all be reduced by 1 week from the closing date of May 14th. So, anyway.
Sit tight, Gavin Spinney. Not only is he my preacher at the First Baptist Church of Houghton, he is an integral part of the new show on the Pursuit Channel, The Way It Was, and he is next with us. Hook it up, track it down, 11:30, The Tiger.
Same as my daddy and his daddy blue.
Thank you for tuning in, hooking up, and tracking down 1130 The Tiger. This segment brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, V&M Baits, Paul's Farm and Garden, and Silver Star Smokehouse. Now serving the best barbecue in 2 great locations in Shreveport and the original in Bossier City. Gary McCoy, the Mud Hen, Mike Eccles, and the Ranger Daiwa Pro Staffer Steve Graff here, and a word from Cypress Knee Outdoors.
Yeah, let me put my eyes back on. Cypress Knee Outdoors is, hey guys, if you're looking for Rio ammunition, they definitely have it. Great selection of hunting and fishing gear. Hunting accessories like cameras to camo, decoys to feeders, bows to guns. Brands like Primo, Browning, and Winchester for dove season that carry the best ammunition around. Rio, located east of Highway Exit 127 off I-49 just south of Natchitoches on Highway 1. Call 318-238-HUNT.
Gavin Spitty on the phone, my preacher. And Gavin, you know, this is kind of cool because the last couple of weeks, Friday nights 10:30 on the Pursuit Channel, I know it re-airs, but you're part of The Way It Was with Lynn Beatty and what's the other gentleman's name?
Sid McCullen.
Sid McCullen.
Also known as Goat.
Yes, exactly, the GOAT. Now tell me this, you know, if you were just a viewer, what's your favorite part of that show?
Just a viewer.
Yeah.
I love the show from the aspect of it's family oriented. I love the banter back and forth with Lynn and Sid, and I don't know. It's just it's a good show. If it were me, my favorite part's the end.
Yes, buddy.
Yeah,
that's when I get the camera, right?
Well, you know, and the thing is what I love. Lynn and I were talking about this here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "I want you to watch the show." And he said, "The way Gavin takes what you see in the show and then spins that into a message to win souls for Jesus."
Yeah,
he said that to me is what it's all about. But you guys do things that you would never imagine, you know, like you never see anybody setting hoop nets on TV.
No, that's rare.
They do it on The Way It Was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the youth hunt.
They use the old timey telephone though.
Hey, did they?
No old time.
Now that's really going back now.
Yeah.
But you know, the kids with the youth hunt, like on last week's show. You know, that brings into, you know, that incorporates that family because not only was your son there, but also 2 of Lynn's grandsons were on there, and I can't remember, was it Christian got the big deer?
No, that was Gus that got the big deer.
Okay.
This year. Or Christian killed a big deer too. Yeah, there. Episode 1 and 2, that the youth hunt, Christian killed his big deer,
Yeah.
and I believe 3 of a Kind was episode 2, where Gus killed his big deer with his mom and dad. They both all killed good deer.
Mm-hmm. When you start putting together the message on this,
yeah,
and you know you're trying to weave into the fabric of this show a quick 3-4 minutes where you make important or you make the viewer realize how important that relationship with Jesus. How do you decide, you know, what you're going to do with that? I mean, you just pray about it and you say, okay, God, you know, put the words in my mouth?
Well, you know, we when the show segments go to production and they kind of start putting together each episode, they'll send us a timeline of what it's going to be and what the show's kind of going to be focusing on, and then we just sit down and I just kind of walk through on camera, and we did 13 of them one time, and it was just back to back to back different things, and I just kind of have in my mind where I want to go with each episode prior to shooting those, and they've worked out really good so far. You know, that's just we feel like they are. It's pretty unique, Gary, for us. We just kind of started in my heart probably in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. There was a show on the Outdoor Channel a lot like this one. It was called Adventure Bound Outdoors, and Chuck McAllister was the pastor. He got on the end last 2.5 minutes, and he did this. And so seeing how he did it, visiting with him, he's actually going to be at our church in September for our Big Buck banquet. I really picked up a lot of stuff just from how Chuck did it, and weaving what went on in the episode into a gospel. Just a not preachy, easy, relating it to everyday rednecks like you and me, who aren't going to darken the door of the church, and but yet give them hope for the different things they're going through in life. And of course, you and I know that hope only comes through Jesus, right?
Amen.
Yep. Gavin Steve Graff here, the deacon of the group. I want to ask you this question because I know the backlash that Phil Robertson took, for saying the prayer at the end of the show. Have you received any backlash, on your show from anybody?
No, and we were pretty specific in picking the network we wanted to go with because the Pursuit Channel is like-minded. It's owned by Mossy Oak. It's not a big group that or a liberal group that owns the network, and so these guys know up front what we're doing, what our purpose is, and so now from a network perspective, everything's been good.
Good.
But we haven't heard any negative feedback at all. In fact, on the contrary, it's been all positive. And on our website, the website at the end of the show is hosted by the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, and they provide counselors for us. And so they send analytics every week, just how many people have logged in and done the counseling. And I haven't gotten any in the last couple of weeks, but had 8 people saved in the first few weeks of the show.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So it's been positive feedback. We haven't gotten any backlash yet.
Well, given, now one of the things that Sid and Lynn do is they do things the way it was. They show you, things like the hoop nets and stuff like that. Anything that you know of that's in the can that we might be seeing later in the season that is something that a lot of people might not have ever seen before, or it's been a long time?
Yeah. We these guys did a Grand Slam with turkeys. They did a double Grand Slam.
I heard my preacher did that too.
I got 2 of the 4.
Okay.
My weapon of choice was a 1913 single-shot 16 gauge. It was made by the Crescent Tool Company, and had a 40-inch barrel on it.
Oh, I bet that ain't kicked like a mule.
You just reach out there and
dude, it was so cool. It was so cool. And I bought 1950s paper shells.
Wow.
I killed my 2 turkeys with, and then the guys, one of them used the 28 gauge, and so it's kind of unique in what we're doing. And of course, a lot of their hunting they do with longbows. They're deer hunting. We're going September to New Mexico with our title sponsor, Bucks and Bulls, and the guys are going to attempt to take an elk with longbows, which is crazy in that part of the world, and getting them in that close. And so I'm not doing a longbow. I'm doing a compound. But yeah, so that's probably going to be a next year's season 2 episode. But coming up in the fall, we're going to have those turkey episodes sharing, and so it's a lot of different stuff. One of Upland Game Birds is something else that they're doing, just getting the dogs out, and one of those episodes are coming up as well.
Hey, Kevin, Mike Eccles here. Gary told me that I couldn't talk while his preacher was on, but I'm going to interrupt. You mentioned the Sportsman's Banquet or Big Buck banquet that y'all have coming
Mike
up.
came to that last year.
I was going to ask, that same one that Steve Nichols spoke at last year, right?
Yeah. Steve shared his story.
Outstanding event. It really was.
Yeah. This one's going to be a little twist. We're going to do a Second Amendment rally with it, and all the prizes we're giving away this year are going to be guns.
Oh, wow.
Rather than other little knick-knack stuff. So,
that won't draw attention.
Nobody will
come for that.
A little lightning rod stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the show they've got coming up where they're going to go, my mind blanked, go someplace at elk hunt with longbows. Where are they going?
Yeah.
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
No Gal, New Mexico.
Is that with Bucks and Bulls?
Yeah, me and Sid are going to be hunting with Bucks and Bulls, and actually Kenny Covington's going to go with us, and then
I bet you Ben Johnson's going to be on that trip.
Well, I don't know if Ben's coming or not, and I don't think Steve's going to be able to make it.
Oh, okay.
But Lynn drew a trophy tag and puts in every year for Cabela's, and just happened to draw one this year in a section that's going to be just below us. But a Bucks and Bulls has kind of helped him find a guide down there.
Given another thing that was popular, I know when I was a kid, and I don't know if all three of us grew up doing it or not, but I know I did, squirrel hunting with a 410. That's something that you just don't see anymore. I know we've lost a lot of our hardwoods, but do y'all have any episodes focusing on squirrel hunting?
We haven't really talked through that yet. You know, as far as a network, the number one episodes are always big whitetail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the one that everybody, it always ends up being the highest ranking. Second to that is, from what we understand, is elk and then turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're focusing specifically on those, but throwing some in there that are a little bit different. They just did a hog hunt episode. I don't know if y'all seen this. It aired. Maybe it's coming out this week. I'm getting mixed up with all these weeks, but it's they had some guys come and trapping them alive, and they went and weighed them in. It was like a tournament, like a bass tournament for hog hunting.
Wow!
Yeah.
What a concept!
And
that you
the
do,
way
man.
the way it was, team ends up winning it, and it was
really?
1,900 pounds of hog.
Yeah, well, the team. You also got bonus points for the most stitches.
Yeah.
But given
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I had something else going on.
Yeah. I had to go get a root canal.
Yeah.
without Novocaine.
Exactly.
Kevin, when y'all get ready to do the squirrel hunting video, let me know, because I mean I just happen to have some contacts with some people who's got some great dogs.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
the reason nobody squirrel hunts with a 410 anymore is because we got smart.
Well, that's true.
God started making a 20 gauge.
The worst,
Oh, yeah.
the worst gun that you can give a kid. I mean, you might as well give him a pellet gun and tell him to go turkey hunt.
So, Gavin, you know what? Now, you brought up something really interesting right there, and we're almost running out of time here. But
Oh, that went by.
it's really important that you produce a great show, that it's a highly ranked show, whether it be the whitetail or the turkeys or something along those lines. There's a lot of stuff that I'm sure you'd love to cover, but it doesn't get the rankings, and it's the rankings that give you the most eyes and hopefully the most hearts to change. Wouldn't that be the objective?
Yeah, it is our major objective. While we want to put together a great quality show, our major objective is we want to give the gospel to as many people as we can, and so that's viewers. And so quality show goes up there top and get the viewers. We've all watched cheesy shows. We don't want to put together one of those. Red Shutter Media has partnered with us, and got great camera guys. Production crew on Non-Typical Productions is doing kind of the end of the show, editing, and but it all boils down to how many eyes and ears we can get to the last 2 minutes of that show.
Amen. Okay, Friday nights, 10:30 Central on the Pursuit Channel, and I know that Lynn told me it re-airs. When is that?
It re-airs Saturday at 2:30
PM or AM?
p.m.
Okay, so
Saturday
2:30
2:30 p.m.
Friday night, 10:30, and then you get to see that same episode again 2:30 Saturday afternoon. So if it's raining and you can't go hunting or something like that, then you could tune in and or at least DVR it.
That's right, yeah. And it's 13 episodes, so we're showing the first 6. Then those 6 will rerun, and then the next 7 will come on 6 weeks from now, so in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Preacher, I love you, and I marvel at the work that you do, not only every Sunday, but the outreach in the community and now on a worldwide basis. And I am so proud to call you my friend. And not only is he my friend, he's got the next deer stand over right for mine. So if I hear a shot, I know. I know what just happened.
Hey, Gavin, Spinney is not a very popular name. You're not kin to Greg Spinney, are you?
I am. Greg is going to be a cousin of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the biggest forearms of any man I've ever seen in my life.
That's
Popeye.
right.
I mean, besides Popeye. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Hey, you're welcome, Gary. Guys, I appreciate the opportunity just to get the word out.
You bet.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
The Way It Was. Check it out on the Pursuit Channel. Friday nights, 10:30, and then Saturday, 2:30. And we are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
But in truth, it's the reason that I leave.
Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. Thanks you for tuning us in today. This segment brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, Candyman Pet Lodge, and Bellevue Meat Processing, offering prepackaged meals like red beans and rice, gumbo, and jambalaya, along with their great selection of seasonings.
Bellevue Meat Market, over 20 years of custom meat processing. Starting August the 21st, new hours, 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. Tuesday through Friday. Now taking appointments for beef and pork processing. Chris and Carla are always looking to make a better product, and they do it every year. Great selections of sausage, seasonings, Mayhaw jelly, barbecue sauce, pre-packaged mixes of gumbo, red beans and rice, and jambalaya. And that makes it so easy when you want to come in and cook something for supper.
Just dump the
It takes me
ingredients in
2
there.
days to make a gumbo. With their stuff, you can do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, without a doubt.
Yeah, they offer great snack sticks, perfect for the duck line and the deer stand. They don't last long around here. Bellevue is the official processor of Hunters for the Hungry. Go to BellevueMeatMarket.com to learn more.
Gary McCoy, along with the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and Andy Young from Felsenthal Management on the phone with us. Andy, you there?
Yeah. How are you guys?
We're awesome. Now, I understand that you are offering us $1 million apiece to preach the wonders of Felsenthal Management. Is that correct?
Sure, if that's what you heard.
Well,
I don't know where we're going to get the funds.
Well, Arkansas Fish and Game can do it. Andy, this is Mike Eklund. Thank you so much for taking the time to be there. Andy is a fisheries biologist for the state of Arkansas, and he's one of the people that kind of, I won't say overseas, but has a lot to do with Felsenthal. Let's get started by telling us, Andy, where Felsenthal is from point A to point B, and where it's located in the state, and how big it is.
Yes, certainly. Felsenthal Reservoir is on the Arkansas and Louisiana state line. It's about 8 miles north of the border in South Arkansas. Folks know where Crossed Arkansas is. It's about 8-10 miles west of there, and about 40 miles east of El Dorado. We're kind of out there, right on the Washita River.
Okay, and how many acres is it?
It is 15,000 acres. The reservoir itself, the refuge is actually 65,000 acres.
Ooh.
Wow. Do you have any controlled flooded areas?
They do actually have some controlled flooding out there. The wildlife refuge itself, with the Fish and Wildlife Service, has just developed a new habitat management plan, and if I remember correctly, it is every other year they artificially raise the pool. Of course, if it's not already flooded with it being a river system. Then on the off years, they just allow natural winter flooding.
Mm-hmm. Do you have salvinia?
Knock on wood, no, I do not.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Andy, the first time I heard about Felsenthal for years was when I was duck hunting on the east side of the state, and that's what I heard, duck hunting, Felsenthal. You know, people I've never been, but then just in the last couple of years, y'all are back involved with the Ronald McDonald tournament out of Monroe, and that's one of the places that the anglers can fish on the Big Fish tournament. Before we get into the duck hunting, tell us about the fishing on Felsenthal.
Oh, fishing is great out there. In fact, it's one of my favorite places to go, especially in this area. You know, it's affectionately known as the brim capital of the world. So if you're a brim fisherman, that it's certainly a destination. And the bass fishing is extremely excellent. There used to be a lot of vegetation issues out there with extreme amounts of vegetation growing. There was an introduction to some triploid grass carp, helped knock some of that vegetation back, and that really helped open up some fishing areas and kind of help those fish avoid summer kills and things like that due to the extreme vegetation.
Now, Andy, are there specific regulations for Felsenthal? Because I remember there was tournaments that everybody used to run from Monroe up to Felsenthal to fish, but then there were some changes up there in your neck of the woods. Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, there's a 13-inch minimum length limit on largemouth bass in Felsenthal, and part of that's due to you know, there's very high harvest out there. We have a lot of harvest-oriented anglers, and that's fine because it actually puts a tool in our toolbox. You know, I always tell people if we have a 13-inch minimum length limit and you weren't going to keep any fish anyways, it's the same as not having a regulation. So it kind of helps us out there. And then, of course, there were some issues years ago with folks running tournament fish up, and I know the Ronald McDonald House tournament was one of those, and you know, some folks drew some lines in the sand, and and you know, we've tried to mend some bonds since, and actually we've worked out a great system for that tournament where all the Arkansas fish are weighed at Felsenthal and returned to Arkansas waters. There were a lot of folks that were upset that, you know, with the weigh-in being in Monroe, that folks were upset those fish were being hauled down there and then dumped out right there.
Well, I want to commend you and the Ronald McDonald Board for coming up with it. You know, I've done tournaments for a long time, and I wasn't the one that came up with the idea. The board, and between y'all and the board, y'all came up with a system where we could have two different weigh-in sites. We've got we bring 4 sets of state-certified scales where the fish are weighed right in there at Felsenthal, out across it, and released back in the lake. And then the anglers come to Monroe to get their weight. They don't know what it is. And I'm telling you, it has increased the participation in the tournament, and everybody's got to be happy about it. A lot of people got back in it because Felsenthal was included back in the fishery. So thank y'all for doing that, state of Arkansas.
Andy Young from the Felsenthal Management and the Felsenthal Management area there. Andy, one of the things that occurs to me is we're talking about how great the fishery is, and obviously Eccles is pretty fond of the duck hunting in that area. What kind of fish are we talking about? Is it a big old open bowl, or do you have cypress trees? Is it a river system? What are we fishing when we show up?
It is certainly it is a cypress system. You know, most of it is backwater habitat. The area was actually formed by raising the Ouachita River about 3.5 feet, and when they raised it 3.5 feet, they went from 5,000 acres to 15,000 acres. So you know, that tells you there's about 10,000 acres that are less than 3.5 feet deep.
Wow.
So there's a lot of shallow water out there. You know, you're fishing a lot of cypress knees and things like that. I myself have been knocked out of the boat more than once fishing out there. Hit a cypress knee and fall out even just leaning too far.
Andy, I may have missed this. Is this a state or a federal body?
This is it's part of the National Wildlife Refuge system. Okay. So it's actually managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife System, but the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission actually does the fisheries management for them.
Okay.
So and then there's, you know, you've got 52 miles of river there approximately, and so there's a little bit of everything. You can fish a river, you can fish backwoods.
Can you get lost in it, or is it easy to navigate?
Certainly.
If
you go out there,
that with authority. Yes.
Yeah.
Take your GPS.
From experience.
Yeah. So okay.
Do you have channel markers? Anything along those lines?
The river channel has, you know, it's a river channel, so you can run down it. But once you get out into the backwaters, you're kind of out on your own.
It's like vodka, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have to have if you're a duck hunter like Mike, do you have to have a permit for a blind?
No. You do have to carry a refuge permit, like you do on. I believe this is for every Fish and Wildlife refuge. They've got the brochures that have the regs and things like that in them. That you have to carry a signed copy on you. And I don't believe you can be out on you can be in the main river channel, but you can't be out in the backwaters until 4 a.m. They've got you cut off, and then you got to be out of there midday.
You got to be out of there. There's a stop shooting time, and
yep.
Okay, can you build a permanent blind, or you have to wait or hunt out of a boat blind?
Yep, wait or hunt out of a boat blind. No permanent blind.
Okay, and you can't leave your decoys out overnight.
Nope.
Okay, dang.
That's work now.
Well, I know. I got to figure out how I can get around some of these rules.
Hey, let me tell you, if it's anything like up at the White River, up in that area up there, that 4 o'clock thing is evidently just a suggestion.
Well, our game wardens wouldn't want to hear you saying that.
But I sure wish they would enforce that up in the northern part of the state.
Yeah.
They're working on it. It's an uphill battle sometimes.
I can imagine. Well, somebody's like Eccles is always looking for a way around it.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Rules are just a place to get started.
Negotiation.
No. In the Ronald McDonald Big Bass Tournament was not won in Felsenthal, but there was a big part of the fish that finished in the hourly weigh-ins came from Felsenthal. So it says a lot for the quality of fish y'all have up there.
Yeah, certainly. I think it was, even if you include the 2 early hours, Saturday and Sunday, where it's impossible to make it unless you've got a private jet or something to fly down to Monroe. I think even when you include those hours, over a third of the money fish, I guess we'll call them, they were actually weighed in at Felsenthal.
Yes.
So.
Andy, tell me this: if it was all up to you, and I'm sure that a good portion of it is, but if it were all up to you, are you a proponent or opponent to slot limits?
Slot limits certainly have their place. They don't work everywhere. There used to be, back in the early days, there was kind of you basically followed a flow chart, and it said if it meets this and this, then put one on there. And folks kind of did that and backed and never really went in and did any evaluations or things like that. And a lot of that was just the science was limited. Fisheries science is still fairly new in the grand scheme of management of any kind, whether it be wildlife or anything. So we're still learning a lot, but in places where you need a slot limit, there are some factors that go into that, and there's certainly a good deal. And I mean, Felsenthal has a minimum length limit, and it's doing some good things out there.
Well, I agree with minimum length limits. But, for the most part, it would seem to me that a slot limit would move to protect that group of fish, would gradually go up. It might start 14 to 17, and then maybe the next year it's 15 to 18, and the next year 16 to 19, and followed and protected that particular group of fish. But to establish a slot limit on a body of water at, let's just say, 14 to 18, and then keep it there for 25 years, that just doesn't seem real bright to me.
Only Louisiana did that.
There's very few places in my mind that that is the situation where you can put one on and just leave it forever. And I know, especially for us in my district and across the state of Arkansas, and I'm sure in other states as well, we're constantly evaluating our regulations. You may not always see it out in the public, but we conduct age and growth studies and things like that to really look at and make sure that the regulations we have in place, are adaptive. We've moved away from I'm putting a rule in and that's the rule forever. If it works right now, we'll put it on, and if it's not working in a few years, we'll take it off. They're not lifetime mandates.
If I was on I-20 in Monroe, how would I get to Felsenthal?
You can you can shoot north out of Ruston and come up through El Dorado, which is probably the easiest way. But there are also some back roads and things like that.
Okay, fantastic.
Andy, thank you so much for being with us today. And I think there's a lot of people probably have never heard of Felsenthal, and they know about it now, and maybe it kind of jarred somebody's memories. But maybe some people will go up there and look around. Y'all got a great place, and thank you.
Yeah, I hope to see them out there.
Okay.
Andy Young from Felsenthal Management. You know what? It might be a great place to just spend a weekend. Just go one Saturday. You're looking for a new body of water.
If you get lost.
We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger. Up and Tracking Down, 1130 The Tiger, and here at HUTD, we love to be social. So check out our Facebook page at Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show for outdoor news and videos. This segment brought to you by United Rentals, Mustang Survival, Wildwood Resort, and the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series. Okay, on the phone with us, actually, we'll get to Wayne Neeson here in just a sec. First, we got a word from Silver Star Steakhouse.
Yeah, great barbecue, fall off the bone ribs, the best steaks in Shreveport Bossier. Owner David Alvis and his great staff invite you to try the best barbecue west of the Mississippi. Great place. Now, if you're looking to book a holiday celebration, now's the time to give Renee a call over there at Silver Star Barbecue. Great place for family holiday and celebrations. 3 locations. 1201 Dixie Overland in Bossier, which is the original, 9462 Ellaby Road in Shreveport, and 7101 Highway 1 Shreveport is the newest location. Go to silverstarsmokehouse.com to book your next event. Silver Star Smokehouse, taking barbecue to another level.
And on the phone, Wayne Neeson, who is the owner of Candyman Pet Lodge. And Wayne, you got a situation where you got a dog that, man, you know, he's a puppy. But you're tired of making excuses. He's tearing up everything. You know, you're having a tough time potty training him. You know, how can you take that off of us?
Where do you start?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the responsibility of having a pup is far more enormous than what people think when they first get that cute little varmint, and consequently, they relegate that dog to something other than what they should have done to begin with. And I won't fuss at them too much about that, but they need to listen. The responsibility of a dog or the pup is the same as a child. You have to be, number one, you have to be consistent with them, and that means that you first separate that pup from the other dogs when you're raising that dog in the house, at any rate, because that makes that dog responsible to you. And therefore, what do you need to do that? You get an air kennel, meaning something container. And I like the plastic models that actually have the sides and the top to them that they is more like a den to them rather than the wire cages, which are more exposed. The pups and dogs are natural den animals, and that's what they like to do. I have, obviously, I have not only the kennels, but I keep the dogs in my home, too. And I have barrels in my kennel, and they prefer the barrels, getting inside the barrels, than they do the open kennel itself, because it's more of a den to them. So it's not something that's inhumane, as I was telling my client the other day. It's actually something that they want. They want that den feeling, that atmosphere, because that comes by their DNA, a natural situation. So the constant, the consistency of putting that pup in that air crate every day when you're gone, and then getting them out as soon as possible when you get home, that does 2 things. It makes them feel comfortable in their environment, and also allows them to hold, let's say, their bowels until you come home and you let them out. Now, getting back to that part, it's the consistency of allowing the pup, the smaller they are, the more trouble they are, to allow them to air going out in the yard and relieving themselves. It is more when they're a puppy, more times when they're a puppy than when they're older, bigger dogs. And you also, of course, be consistent with your feeding time with the dog, and that at the same time feeding. That's very, very important, too. The consistency of the animal is the same as consistency with children when you're raising children. There's no difference really in my mind at all. I tell everyone, not so much in a joking mood, I raise my kids the same way that I train my dogs. There's really not a difference because I'm consistent with those animals.
Right. Now, let's talk about a specific situation. Like my daughter's dog is a Yorkie, and he is a barker. Oh, my gosh. Let the mailman walk up, UPS, he will bark his head off. What can you do to train your dog? Of course, you don't want to break him where he doesn't like, because he's kind of like a little protector. I know he's, territorial, but how do you keep him from barking all the time and just going crazy?
Well, that particular scenario really depends on the dog a bit and the breed of that
that dog. Some dogs are more barkers and more yappers than other types of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're talking about, you're exposed to one that is a yapper. First thing you got to do is you've got to let them learn that it's not a good thing to do, and that it's a good thing not to do it. And you might want to use negative enforcement and positive reinforcement. And by that I mean you take the dog to the door. Someone knocks on the door. You take the dog to the door, or you just take the dog and he barks. If he barks naturally when you go to the door, you just go to the door, and the dog starts to bark. So you have a lead on the dog, a leash, and you pull the dog to you, and you put your hand on the snout, and you say, quiet, quiet. And if the dog is quiet for a moment, you have these very small, whatever, pet botanics or something that's very small. It's got a nice liver or bacon taste to it, and very small. And they're quiet for a moment, and you give them the treat. So they know that, they begin to learn that good things happen as a result of them being quiet. And once you get them to that point inside, then you take them outside. I actually have people, like, for example, UPS, give my dog treats. I'll give them a treat. I'll slip them a treat. And they will, by exposure to this person that's not an evil person in a brown uniform, they actually like this person, and they're looking forward to them showing up. Mm-hmm. But they only get a treat if they're quiet, and they don't get it otherwise. And, of course, you take it away from home, and you've got this dog at PetSmart or Petco or Home Depot, Tractor Supply, and that's what I do with new puppies that I'm training. I'll take them in, and I'll take the dog in there, and I'll slip them a treat, the patrons in there, a treat. And I said, when I would like to say, sit with this dog, and you give them a treat. So they learn not only not to bark, but they also learn that there are good folks out there too, and they don't have to protect me all the time.
Is that one of the biggest issues that you see, Wayne, nowadays? Is that all of a sudden someone who has not trained their dog to be social, they have brought him into an environment where he's scared and probably is going to show his natural tendency and attack, bite, whatever the case might be, because somebody had not spent enough time getting him groomed for that.
The worst biter is a fear biter. Not a dog that is trained to bite, as we call them a bite dog, or aggressive dog, but the fear biter. The fear biter is just that. They are afraid of what's going around them, what's happening around them. So it's lack of socialization more than anything at all, Gary.
Yeah.
That's really the deal. And you have to teach that dog, give them some behavior changes that will tell them that, hey, it's not so bad around here. You know, I got news for people. Well, they say, they'll tell me, well, they'll like everybody, and I'm like, well, protection. Really, in reality, you don't need the liability of a dog that's going to bite someone.
Amen.
You know?
Amen.
And I don't
there.
I'm not in this today's environment anyway.
Hey, Wayne, real quick, how do you, and this doesn't bother a lot of people, but it bothers me. A dog comes up to you and starts licking your hand. Now, a lot of people think that's funny, but I don't. So how do you stop a dog from licking your hand?
Well, again, that's if you're talking about at home, normally if you break them there, of course, it's going to break them in the outside external environment. They're doing it for two reasons, and probably number one, I think, they're getting salt off of your skin.
You've been sweating.
As much as anything. But number two, it is a sign of infection, a sign of I'd like to see you get well type thing. Have you ever noticed if you've got a cut or a scrape on you?
Oh my gosh!
Your dog will lick that scrape or that cut.
Yep. My daddy always said, "Let the dog lick that. He will heal it."
Well, your dad may be some truth to what your daddy said, but it is true, and you'll notice that they get a cut or a scrape, they work on it fairly diligently.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't work when they've had surgery, as you know, and that's the reason they put the Victorian type of collar around them to keep them from doing that, so they'll heal up. But the changes that you're looking for, Mike, are the changes that are done in much the same way as the barking, the anti-barking. You got to teach them that that's just not permissible. That they don't do that. It's like a jumping up on you type of thing. What do you do about jumping up and behavior and the dog jumping up on you, putting his feet on you? some people think it's cute when they're puppies, but guess what? They grow up, and then it's not so cute anymore. But there is a fairly easy technique. When they jump up, you simply step on their toes. You step on their rear toes. They'll get back down again.
Okay, in 60 seconds, I was just sent a text from Jeff Pate. Please ask Wayne if he's ever heard of a lab barking at ducks, and then ask Mike how to break him.
Thanks, Jeff.
Tell Jeff more times than you would believe. I was judging a field trial in Utah this past week, and in a field trial, and they were these dogs were competing for the blue ribbon, so to speak, and we actually eliminated the dog because of the barking on the line.
Oh wow!
It spooks the birds, it spooks them away, and it's just you just don't allow it. Loudly barking, and that spooks birds.
Wayne, if somebody is wanting to either board their dog at Candyman Pet Lodge or get you to teach the dog not to jump, not to bark, not to lick, not to do those kinds of things, what do they need to do what's the best way for them to get with you about that?
Well, I'll tell you what they can do is probably to get directly to me, and I'll give my cell phone to people, and I don't mind that at all. It's a business phone, and I don't mind people having it, but it's 318-426-2928, 426-2928. And they can call me, they can send email, candymanpetlodge.com, and I'll be glad to respond to their messages. They can contact me on Facebook at Candyman Pet Lodge, whichever way is the easiest way for them to do it.
If you got a few dog issues, Wayne Neeson and Candyman Pet Lodge, probably the way you need to go. Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Have a great day, buddy.
Thank you, Wayne.
Make that call. Check them out on Facebook or CandymanPetLodge.com.
And Jeff Pate, mind your own business.
Hey, Clint Davis just won the FLW Cup. We're going to talk to him next. Hooking up, tracking down, 11:30, the Tiger.
Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let a memory torture me.
Ooh, looky here. We are into hour number 2, hooking up and tracking down, doing it the Louisiana, Texas way. It's Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Dial Pro staffer Steve Graff.
Yo, that's me.
Oh, Mud Hen Mike Eccles is here. Jay's out again this week, but we've got those very competent, capable hands. The Puff Daddy himself has graciously stepped in to take care of things the last couple of weeks.
He's tried back some of that old school KWKH music. Willie Nelson. We don't hear that no more.
And what was the last one you had? It was Blackstone Cherry? Yeah, I remember.
Blackstone Cherry.
I remember when they were huge on KWKH. Don't you remember those days?
Yeah, okay. 99X.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get ready for another hour of the absolute best outdoor show on the radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. This segment brought to you by Ranger Boats, Despino and Jim's Big South Tire, the Red River Waterway Commission, and Rio Ammunition, the cleanest burning shells on the market today. And Clint Davis, just barely, has gotten to slide in from the FLW Cup win Sunday.
Yep.
And he's on the show with us today. And you know what, Clint? Mike Eccles said that you proved you were the master of the big worm.
Well, that's good to know.
He said you were dynamite on the Lake Washita with your big worm.
Yeah, you're as a master of a bait as much confidence as you have. Like whatever confidence how much confidence you have in something, that's what makes you a master.
Well, you just scared me because all in the same sentence, you just said a master of the bait and a big worm. And I thought this was a completely different kind of a hooking up and tracking down show there.
Let it rip, Tater Chip.
There you go.
Oh, man. Don't walk me into that one.
You know what? You and I like friends on this because Daryl Laurent with Mr. Twister, also a really good friend. And I know that his wife, Tricia, was so proud of your win the other day in the fact that, you made it all happen with that big old 12-inch worm.
Yeah, it's awesome to see them. I don't get to see them as much. Yeah, they are a sponsor, but they're also really good friends of mine. Really, really great people. And, I actually sent Daryl a picture of that worm when I went out for pre-practice. I said, I need some of these. I'm going to win the Forest Wood Cup on it. And I believed that the whole time. And, other than losing a few fish on it the first 2 days, it finally all paid off when it ignited on the final day.
Hey, Clint, Mike Eccles here, and thank you for being with us. Let's start on day one. Let's start before that. How did you enter the Cup? In what position? I mean, were you finishing for the year? What got you into the Cup?
Yes, through 7 events of the FLW Tour. We started out in South Florida, ended all the way up in Detroit, Michigan on Lake St. Clair. I finished 25th in the points. I went into the Kentucky Lake. I think I was in the top 10, man, and on the lake I'd never missed the top 10 on. Everything fell apart that week. And I had my worst finish of the year, which was 150. But we went to St. Clair and rebounded and slid in 25th in the points, and they take the top 40. So it was it was a really good year, I think I had 2 top 10s on the tour this year as well, and very, very, very close to winning at Lake Cumberland as well.
Well, Clint, it took you like a little over 12 pounds a day to win this event, but it really, in reality, was only going to take 10 pounds a day because second place was James Niggemeyer. He had 9.96 per day. Did you think the weight would be that low, or was you expecting it to be higher?
Pre-practice, before it went off limits, it was pretty good out there. But when we went back for practice, it was like there was a fish that didn't live in that lake, man. I mean, it's August. You guys know, y'all fish. It gets tough that time of the year, and it was an absolute grind. Other than the first day of practice, the other 3 days, we have 4 days of practice. Man, I caught like 1 and 2 fish the rest of the week every day, fishing from daylight till dark.
Wow.
I knew. We all know. I mean, you see it through a 12, 13-hour day of practice. It's like, this is going to be really, really low, tight weight.
You're fishing brush tops 25, 30 feet down, and obviously you were fishing not only the big worm, but you had a swim bait going for you as well. But Lake Washita, traditionally, gin clear water. But you're throwing into brush that deep. Did you downsize on your line? And if you did, how low did you go?
I didn't. I threw 16-pound Yozuri top knot fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is pretty much translucent in itself. And as far as, changing the action of a bait, when you got a half-ounce head on there, you could throw 20 on it, and they're still going to bite it. I wanted something where when I got bit down in that stuff, I didn't have to worry about them dragging me through bushes and breaking me off. I wanted something I could drag them out.
Well, Clint, you had 17-13 on the final day. Biggest stringer of the whole tournament. Was it something new that you went to, or was it some new water? Was it new brush tops, or was there something, or did you just happen to time it right on this particular day?
Well, I'd lost the first day. I lost one close to 5 pounds out of one of the brush piles. I caught a couple in that final day, and the second day I actually lost 3 in that area, over 3 pounds. And
wow!
I went back to that same area. Now, where I caught my biggest one, I'm sure y'all seen the videos of me giggling like a little girl. That brush pile, I found it a few weeks earlier, and And honestly, it has just slipped my mind the first 2 days. And I'm running down the lake, about to make a run a couple miles up. And I said, man, I need to fish that one right quick. And I pulled in first cast, and the worm's falling through the brush, and it hits the bottom, and I just feel a thump. I said, oh Lord, it feels like a good one before I'd ever set the hook. And when I set the hook, man, it was like pulling on a freight train. And we put that one in the well, and you know what it doesn't show, and you'll see on the TV show, the next cast I caught a 3-pounder, and we were off and rolling from there the rest of the day. That settled me in, and you know, I knew I had a shot to win. I knew the weights were going to be low, and if I could get to that 14-pound mark, I thought, you know, at least they would have to catch them.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Clint, let's start back on day one, and I want to go through all 3 days, if you will. Tell us what you fished, how you fished the first day, and then go into the second day, and tell us about that if you had to make any changes.
Yeah, you know, the first day of the tournament, I started out again, like pretty much my first cast of the day with that big worm. I lost one close to 5 pounds, and I'm like, well, it's okay. We just started. They're at least it looks like they're going to halfway bite today. We had a little cloud cover, and it was cooler. It rained all night before. And 4 hours later, I'm still waiting on my first bite. And finally, I hit a pile, and I catch one on the worm, about 3 pounds. Let's see, I run a couple more, and I caught another one on a top water. I was sitting there fishing the worm, and they came up schooling, and I picked up it's a Yozuri 3DB pencil bait, fired it over the top, and catch another 2-pounder. You know, it's crazy that I remember all this because we caught so few fish that, you know, they were so important.
Yeah.
And,
you named them all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then we go for another dry spell, and it seems, and I heard everyone talking about something about that 3 o'clock in the afternoon hour every day. I didn't catch any big ones late in the day, but the final day, heck, I didn't catch many big ones at all. But at 3 o'clock was like a magic hour on that lake every day for some reason. That last hour, I filled out my limit with the worm.
Now, at what point?
Let him finish what Mike had asked him.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so day 2, I start out, man, and I'm getting bit. I'm really getting bit on the worm on day 2, and by 9 o'clock in the morning, I've lost 3 fish over 3 pounds. Wow. I don't know what was going on, man. It's fishing, man, and you know, there's good luck and bad luck, and that was as bad a luck as a man could ever have fishing. It was like every time I set the hook, it was a big one, and every time I got it to the boat, somehow it got off. And so I grinded through it at 4:40 that day, you know, and this is the thing you look back on. This is something that happened that helped me win the Forest Look Up. At 4:40, I had 4 fish. I had to be in at 5 o'clock that day. I was last flight. I said, man, I've got to do something. I've got to get one more to at least give myself a shot. So I tied on mine. It's a nickel toadstool is what we call it. It's a Ned rig top bait. I do an actual bristle weed guard so I can get it through brush. And I flipped it into a brush pile hoping for a 13-inch Kentucky to bite it in a 2-pound largemouth fitted. And he was the perfect size because he got me into the final day by 1 ounce.
Wow.
1 ounce.
Yeah, things like that you look back on, it's just wild. Like, you know, it was meant to be. I mean, you know, I've been so close so many times, and finally it all came together.
But to go from 10th, was there a point in your day? I know, like in the Elite Series, when they have the Bassmaster Classic, all of a sudden the camera boats start to show up on Jordan Lee. Did you have that moment where all of a sudden people start showing up and you're like, okay, something must be going on for people to be showing up around me?
Well, I did. When I caught the big one, it was still kind of quiet. And then I caught another one, and all of a sudden I hear a radio going off and a phone going off. Man, and it hits them. Man, they're probably not catching them. Plus, I've got 2 for 8 pounds already. And they start camera. They bring another camera guy in on. And I look back, and there's 3 or 4 more boats that show up. Like, well, I'm catching fish. I know it's tough out here. So about 30 minutes later, I look around, and there's boats just floating everywhere. I caught my 4th. I just caught my 4th, and they're still coming. I see them out there a quarter mile across the lake, like a big wad of them watching and everything. I was like, man, what's happening here? So yeah, I knew I had an idea because as the day went on, more and more boats showed up. At least until the electrical storm showed up on the lake, and they all left, and I'm out there fishing scared to death. But yeah, I knew. I said, man, I think I've got a shot. And at 3:20 on Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting there saying, I need one more. And I went back to this brush pile. I called it the heartbreak brush pile. I've done lost 2 big ones out of it throughout the week. And I said, if it's meant to be, and first cast I fired in there, and that worm's falling down the limb, and I just feel a thump. And I knew. I set the hook, and thanks the good Lord, she came straight up instead of going straight into that brush. I said, that's her, that's the cub. And I netted her, threw my smallest fish back, and got it back to the weigh-in with about 3 minutes left in the day.
Hey, is that intimidating when you start when all of a sudden there's that many eyes on you watching everything that you do? You feel like you're giving a class, out there on the water. Does that change your game at all?
It has. It did in years past, but I've been doing this a few years now, and I've actually had this experience a couple of times before, and for me, Sunday, man, I was just having fun. I knew, and I made a promise to myself I wouldn't fish another tournament after this one for the rest of the year. So just to slow down and wind back up and get fired up for the next season. And I was just having a blast. Like, man, this is my last day of bass fishing in a tournament the rest of the year. Go have fun. Go enjoy it. You've earned it.
Wow. Greg Hackney said the same thing. He said that, he when he finishes up in the fall, that he'll put the rod and reel down and will not pick it up until it's time to start preparing for that first tournament of the next year, so that he will miss it, so that he's not burned out on it. And kudos to you to recognize, hey, look, this is something that that I've chosen as a profession. And obviously, you were the 2012 Rookie of the Year, so I mean, you've had some attention, but still, all of a sudden you've got your fort, as you called them, around you.
Yeah,
that's got to be a little bit of an eye opener for you.
It is, and I talked about it in the thing. I almost walked away from bass fishing last year. I was burnt out, as you said about Greg Hackney. My whole life, all I've done is push, and tried to get better at the sport I love, to where I'd pushed so hard I didn't love it anymore. And I was walking away, man. I said, I've taken something so pure and simple as bass fishing and turned it into something that I hate. And I had. It was just a matter of burnout. I'd done it way too much, and it's different for certain guys, but for me, I'm sitting here looking at my bow and arrow and my styrofoam deer out here. We're about to get ready to swing some arrows the rest of the
Y'all got a date,
huh? Uh-oh.
Hey, Clint, if you will, sit tight for just a second. We got to pay a couple of bills, but we've got a bunch of other questions that we'd love to fire your way.
Sure thing. I'll be here.
Clint Davis just won the FLW Cup. Poor guy only made $300,000 on the deal.
Yeah.
God love him.
Small payday there.
He just showed the world what he could do with a big worm. We'll talk to him more here in just a minute. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Make sure to check out our website, HUTDshow.com. There's tips and tactics and videos. It'll make sure to make you a better outdoorsman. This segment brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bayou Outdoors. or Bayou Outdoor Super Center, Seagar Fishing Line, and Holy Angels, providing love and support for those with special needs.
And here's a quick word from Davis Clothing and Outdoor. This dove season, stop by Davis Clothing and Outdoor for all your gun and Rio ammunition needs, gun cases, backpacks, eye and ear protection. Davis Clothing and Outdoor has everything you'll need for a successful hunt. Need some new camo gear? Check out their great line of camo apparel from Wrangler, Walls, Drake, Columbia, and Carhartt. So if you want the best dove hunter in the field this season, beat the rush. Go to Davis Clothing and Outdoor today, located 4481 Viking Drive in Bossier.
Also, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow night, the QDMA, Quality Deer Management Association banquet in Bossier, about 6 o'clock tomorrow evening at the Bossier Convention Center. It's going to be a great time, a lot of auction items, a lot of prizes. Lane Howard catering, he said he's got about a 12 to 14-inch pork chop for you to eat, just make you slap your mama.
Wow.
That's a QDMA banquet tomorrow evening, Thursday, at the Bossier Convention Center.
Clint Davis just won the FLW Cup, and now he's sitting in the backyard, got his bow and arrow and a styrofoam deer ready to go.
He's counting his money.
You know what, though, Clint, you talked about a minute ago, the mental aspect and how you had gotten burned out. And here you are. It's the FLW Cup. Practice hadn't been stellar. You know it's going to be tough. You lost a 5-pounder the first day. It's now day number 2. I mean, it's either finish top 10 or go home. You've lost your third 3-pound fish. How do you put yourself back, mentally ready for that next bite?
It's just, I guess I've been doing it long enough. I've seen them come by the boat, pull off, bite, jump off way out there. It's just one of those deals now. You can sit there and cry about it and talk about the one that got away, or you can put a bait back in the water and try to catch that next one. It's just being shook up and rattled over it. It does you no good. I trust me. When I first started out, I would have come apart, and nowadays it's just like, well, what's that? The 10,000 bass I've lost in competition. Let's go catch another one.
Yeah.
Well, there was another situation. I don't know if you saw it, Gary, on the FLW Live. James Nickemeyer tried to swing a 2.5 pounder, and I knew when he picked the rod up, I thought, oh, the angle's not right or something, and he missed.
Slaps the boat.
That fish came off, hits the side of the boat instead of in the boat, and jumps off, and he loses that fish. He never checks up. He never says a word. But you got to know in his mind, did I just lose the FLW Cup right there? Because he was in the lead at that point. And I was like, wow. So getting over that, Clint, has got to be, especially when the bite's so tough, like Gary just talked about. How do you overcome that? Because I know everybody's struggling, but mentally, it can just beat you down.
Wouldn't you venture that the mental aspect of the game is way more important than a lot of people have ever given it credit for?
It's the most important.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows the baits. Everybody's got the baits. Everybody's got the rods, the reels, the casting ability, the ability to use their electronics. They understand. Like, everybody you fish against these days, they know it all. It's in your head. It really is. To me, the mental aspect of it is the number one thing of the game.
Clint, back to the Mr. Twister worm. What size weight did you use? I know you said at one time a ½ ounce, but was that exclusive? And what size hook do you use on a worm that size? Because a lot of times I think we feel like we've got to use a bigger hook than's really necessary.
Yes, it's a ½ ounce. I had Nichols bulldozer heads. I ran out of those, and then I went and bought some other brand at the tackle store down the road. I don't even remember what they were. It was a local company. But yes, the 4/0 hook, that's as big as I go, man. That's all you need. The bass eat the whole thing. I mean, they do, and usually they eat it head first. My thoughts with hooks, I mean, I've been doing this for a little while now, and I feel like I've understood it, but like even when I'm flipping and punching, I see these guys wanting these big 5/0 hooks, and I use a 3/0. The way I see it is, the bigger the hook, the more leverage the fish has to throw the bait. So I fish with the smallest hooks possible.
Here you are, and it's now day number 3. You're obviously running brush tops. How's your day start? Do you start off trying to catch some topwater fish early, or do you go straight to the brush tops?
I went straight with the worm. I was throwing a swim bait some, and it's like it's slick, and let's just go with the worm today. Because when I caught one on a swim bait, it wouldn't, it'd be a 2.5 pounder. But when you set the hook with the worm, it's usually a big one. So I went straight with the worm out of the gate. The first pile I didn't get a bite. The second pile I caught a 2-pounder. That was actually my first fish. And then I run to the next one, a 5 and a 3. We're looking at 3 fish right there. So I just kept swinging it. Now I did fill out my limits in that tournament. The 4th fish was on a top water. They actually came up schooling beside me while I was dragging a worm through a brush, and I picked up the Yozuri pencil and caught my 4th keeper. And the 5th fish, for some reason, I drove straight across the lake to a brush pile I have not fished all tournament, and first cast out there, I catch a 3-pounder on the swim bait, and that was how I filled out my limit. And then, called one more time with a 4.5 pounder with a big worm.
What determined for you, as far as that brush top that you caught that 4th fish on? What told you, hey, I need to throw the swim bait through there as opposed to the worm?
I felt like catching one on a swim bait.
Pretty technical.
Yeah.
All right, now, were you seeing fish on the brush piles, or are you fishing blind, just trying not to crowd them?
I was staying as far back as I can. Those fish on that lake get so much pressure in those piles. The deal there, without a doubt, was to make as far of a cast as you could and still be accurate on top of the pile.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not like boats. When you got a boat around them, it was over with.
Now, Clint, you've done something unprecedented. A lot of these tournaments are won from guys coming from behind, but to come from 10th, that had to help you sitting at the ramp on day 3. You're like, okay, I'm in 10th. I barely got in here. I can go out and just go fishing. That mental side of you, rather than being in 1st or 2nd or 3rd place, a lot more pressure on you. Do you think that really helped you in the end?
There probably would have been a little more pressure on me. I don't know. I went out with the mindset the whole season of, don't just go out, have fun, and make the best of the day, and don't worry about the end result. Because if you worry about the end result, it ruins your whole day. Just go do what you do and do it to the best of your ability, and whatever happens at the end of the day, that's what was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm. If you start in 10th place out of 10 anglers, it's impossible to lose the tournament. You can't lose it.
Right. You can't go any further down.
I've got nowhere to go but up. Every bite I get improves my day.
Sure. Exactly. Clint, one of the things that I saw on social media was a lot of people were really giving Lake Ouachita a bad name. Why would they go to such a terrible lake for this championship?
That's a great lake.
Tell me this. Obviously, you would never change anything. For $300,000 anyway, you would never change a thing about it. But if you got to pick all the lakes in America that's set up just like Clint Davis wants to go fishing, where would you hold that championship?
I'd have it at Lay Lake right here by my house. I could sleep in my own bed, and I would fish it pretty much the same way as I just fished Ouachita.
Now, how do you feel about it coming back next year? Same lake?
I'm excited about it. That place was crazy. The arena was capacity crowd. They were kicking people out. They could let no more in. The show was out. It was everything. It's just unbelievable how many people showed up. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the fans and the kids and all of them that get to go out. We're just the performers. It's all about them.
Has there ever been a little kid that really stood out in your brain?
Oh man, I've got so many around my house here. I'm not going to call their names. I try to do everything I can with them and try to keep take them fishing. At least once every few months. I'm so busy and have a kid of my own that it's like if anything, I feel like I let them down. I feel like you feel like you let a lot of people down, but you only have so much time in one day.
It just seems like most people who have achieved some celebrity in their life. It seems like there's always that one kid, whether it was a little boy that looked like their brother, or it was a little boy that that had this, or a little girl, whatever the case might be. And I know that you run into that situation a lot, and probably over the course of the next year, it would be a better question to ask you a year from now after you've reigned for a year as the FLW Cup champion. But
mine was big girls.
Big
girls.
Big.
Were my problem.
And you don't even have a big worm.
Wait a minute. I got a bunch of big worms at my house.
You guys are living the dream.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. So when is tournament number 1?
It's the first week. You're asking me. It's either first or second week of January. We're on Lake Sam Rayburn, which is going to be an absolute slugfest.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
They won't hit a rattle trap over there in January.
No.
And you know what?
Don't bring red because they won't hit it.
This year, that's one of the things that we've noticed this year, especially on some of the Texas lakes. The hydrilla crop this year has just been phenomenal. Yeah. And, it could only make things incredible for that time of the year. Does that when you're going to go into a situation like that where, it's going to take 25 to 30 pounds a day to even stay competitive, does that excite you, knowing what kind of fish you're going to catch then?
Dude, you're fired up, like absolutely fired up. Like, I love those schedules, man. That's what we go for. We want to fish. We want to catch fish. Even the guy that finishes last, when he's like, hey, like we just had an event at St. Clair, and first place, 120th or 30th place the first day had like 15 or 16 pounds, It's like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, what did you say, man? I just caught 16 pounds and I'm getting my tail kicked.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. I know I walked across the stage the first day up there and I had 22 pounds, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be sitting good. And I think I was all the way down in 18.
Hey, Clint, I know since Sunday afternoon your phone has not stopped. The phone calls, the text, you had to turn it over to your wife, and it's just there. What is the one phone call or the one text from a person or a company that you got that surprised you the most?
Oh, man, I don't really know. I mean, it's just like the people I've looked up to. Probably Larry Nixon, man. Like,
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, Larry's been a childhood idol of mine. And of course, I've got to know him throughout the years now fishing the tour, but it was surreal to see that text from Larry come through the other night.
That's pretty awesome. Clint Davis, congratulations, brother.
Man.
Job well done.
Job well done.
Thank you for being with us, too.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for having me on.
If you win Rayburn, we'll have you back.
Amen.
I'll do my best.
Clint Davis, he is your reigning FLW Cup champion. Just pulled that off final day this past Sunday. And congratulations again to our own Nick LeBrun.
Yeah,
he
job
finished
well
up
done.
fourth place, and that was his first appearance in the Cup. He's already won the All-American. And possibly could have set history if he'd have won this as well.
And James Niggemeyer had him on the show a couple of times.
You bet.
Lake Fork guide over hangs around.
Good friend of Johnny Guy.
Yep, good friend. So congratulations to James as well.
Hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
You say it doesn't matter.
Showing the world just how great taste in radio you've got. Hook it up and track it down, 11:30, The Tiger. And just a reminder, you can catch us again Saturday mornings from 6 until 8 o'clock right here on 11:30, The Tiger. This segment brought to you by Natchitoches Ford, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, Davis Clothing and Outdoors, clothing, apparel, and hunting products for everyone who enjoys the great outdoors. Gary McCoy, the Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles is here, and the Holy Angels fundraiser bass tournament is going to be next Saturday, August 25th. Again this year, $5,000. $5,000. First place.
Yeah, scramble tournament, fish 6 or 8 different lakes.
Caddo, Bistineau, Black Lake,
Cross Lake,
Toledo,
Grand Bayou,
and Red River.
Yep. And 3 fish limit.
What won it last year? What lake has it been? Caddo the last 2 years?
I don't remember. I'm not sure Black Lake didn't win it last year.
I thought Black Lake just won the. That was didn't Black just win the state fair tournament? That was Jeff and Eddie, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure where they won it last year.
Okay.
It's not, but it's going to be a great tournament. Once again, I keep telling people if you got nothing to do that day and you want to feed the kids, or you have to feed the kids,
sure.
$5 gets you a wristband. All you can eat at about 5 or 6 different vendors.
Yeah.
There's not a place in the world you can go eat that cheap and watch a great weigh-in and see and get to visit with a bunch of residents from Holy Angels.
Yeah. And, Joe Stevens told us that the guy that makes the jambalaya, he said that he got an even bigger pot this year. So, I mean, there's going to be even more jambalaya this year.
And they make fresh cracklings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are good.
Let me tell you right now. Me and Billy Phipps sat around.
Our cardiologist.
She's on the phone now? Okay, good. Kelly Matkins is the event coordinator with Holy Angels. And Kelly is on the phone with us now. Hello, Kelly.
Hey, how are y'all?
Oh God, if I sounded as good as you, I'd be great.
Is this a 1-900 number?
Dude.
Goodness gracious.
Okay, Kelly, we were just talking to another fisherman about his big worm a minute ago. We can't go there right now. There's a lady in the house.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, we're
Keep
getting
it classy.
ready. Yes, ma'am. Now we have the big bass tournament next weekend. What's our goal this year? How many teams do we want this year?
I want to get over 100.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm new to Holy Angels, so I just came over here a couple of months ago. So this is my first time coordinating this event with Joe Stevens, but everything is going great, and we're so excited. It's my understanding there were about 70 teams out there last year.
80-something last year.
80-something.
86, 87.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on, these are fisherman tales sometimes, right? I'm learning a lot, guys. So, but all of the money raised by this event is going to help the residents here at Holy Angels. And so we really want 100, an even number like 100. We can all do math, so if 200 a team and we've got 100 teams, that's a nice big number for us to pull in just from that. And then we've had some wonderful sponsors as well. So everything is just coming together.
Well, kudos to Holy Angels, because a number of years ago, you guys put your money where your mouth is. The $5,000 is guaranteed if there's one team or 100 teams, 200 teams. First place will get a check for $5,000. And one of the things that's near and dear to us is that we've all been blessed to know someone with a loved one who is a resident at Holy Angels. And so you don't have to explain to us the wonders of Holy Angels. But it might be that there's somebody that's sitting on the fence right now that truly next weekend has thought about the possibility of fishing it. But if you could bring to light why they should fish it, where that money is going to help, maybe that'll be the determining factor there.
Absolutely. Well, Holy Angels is just a special treasure to Northwest Louisiana, nestled on 64 acres in southeast Shreveport. We've been so blessed. And it originally began with the Catholic Church that started Holy Angels, and about in the mid-2000s, it became an independent not-for-profit. So we are reimbursed by Medicaid, by the Louisiana state Medicaid system, but we know the great state of Louisiana, there's always some shortfalls, and that's how we have to fundraise to make up that difference. The residents here, the day program people, some people who do not live at Holy Angels still can come to our day programs and benefit from doing wonderful work between the hours of 9 and 2 here on our campus. We're all about love, support, and empowerment of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And you're so right, Gary, that there are so many families blessed with a special angel in their life, and if they're looking for residential care or just day programming, Holy Angels is here for them. And it's not just serving Northwest Louisiana. We have families from Dallas, from Mississippi, from all over the country that have chosen for their family member to live here. And this community is so supportive, and this fishing tournament is just a great way for an angler and his family to just, come on out and meet and greet some of the residents, but also, give something back and do something they love, which is fishing. And it's a win-win for everybody.
Last year, I got to visit with a couple of the residents, and they loved the big fish coming in. Obviously, they weren't looking at the fish that we had, but that was a charge for them. And a lot of people that don't get around a bass tournament that often don't realize how much fun we have at a weigh-in, and $5 feeds you.
It does. Yeah. And to see those fish, and everybody knows I'm preaching to the choir here, to feel that tug and reel that fish in is so exciting, and they see that joy, to see the fishermen hold up those big fish. It is fun, and they're you don't see big bass every day, and I see some little crappie every once in a while, a little brim, and but a big bass is a big deal.
Well, Kelly, let me tell you, y'all. I hope y'all realize how fortunate you are to have somebody like Joe Stevens with the drive to do this. He is a tournament bass fisherman, and he knows what it takes to put this on. He knows what the fishermen want, and since he's paired up with y'all paired up with Hooking Up and Tracking Down, made some changes, it's really grown. But Joe, y'all are just so lucky to have somebody that wants to do this, and then you behind Joe and them marketing this. It's a very successful project. But Joe is just he's a great guy, and he's a blessing to y'all out there at Holy Angels.
He is, and it is his passion. You are absolutely right. That has made this event, fifth year, just growing each year, a great success. And he wants to make sure that the fishermen are taken care of and that they have a good time. And he's getting me to get a bigger tent so there's plenty of shade for everybody, and he's making room for that weigh-in so, everybody can see and doesn't crowd. So he's got some great ideas to make it better for this year. And we've got some great things. He plans that auction, and he gets his auctioneer buddy to do it. And, we've got some great items to be auctioned off. We've got a big old Yeti ice chest filled with Yeti products, and got a night at Margaritaville with a delicious dinner at Margaritaville, horseshoes kicking it in.
Did we get you a copy of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down men's calendar yet?
Wait a minute. We're into August. How have I missed this?
Well, there's only 3
ain't
of
missed
us.
nothing.
It only covers October, November, and December.
That's when we're wearing the absolute most
heavy clothes. And we put on our winter fat.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, what else have you got? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure you...
Horseshoes kicking it in with a giveaway, for a stay over there. So, that's always a fun night on the town. We've got this incredible, the parent of another Holy Angel resident, I think he did one last year, a 24-inch cast fire pit, and it's got this cool cutout of a big bass and some wildlife, and so it is heavy as all heck. I don't know how I'm going to get it there, but it's a great fire pit for the backyard.
Well, I'll swing by and put it in my truck.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody's going to steal it because they're going to have to be strong to get it out of here. But what else? We've got an Astros World Series print.
Cool.
Donnie Tubbs, so sweet at Tubbs Hardware, kicked in, and so there's going to be lots of things for y'all to bid on if somebody's not fishing or while they're waiting to be weighed or whatnot.
Is that a silent auction or is
No, it's a live auction.
It's a live auction.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
he keeps it heated up, and we keep the temperature rising, and
Right.
all the food and all the fixings, like you said, for $5. And
Can't beat that, dude.
hey, we're going to have some people out there from the Red River Wildlife National Refuge, and they're going to be doing some little fishing education with the kids, letting them touch some little animal furs and skins and learn about that, and doing some wildlife education. So that's kind of a cool component we're adding to the face painting and
those residents love that face painting.
Yeah.
And the one thing we want to reiterate, Kelly, this is open to the public. It's not just about the bass fishermen and these teams that are showing up. Anybody can come to this.
Now, one of the things that I want to clear up, too, is if you fish the tournament, your meal is free.
That's right. It's included. That's
it's
correct.
Included. You get a wristband to eat for free. But if somebody, the kids want to come watch or whatever, $5 and it's all you can eat.
Yeah.
And so really, if somebody wants to come on out the afternoon of Saturday, August the 25th, we're going to be out there. Things are going to be happening starting at 1 o'clock in that family fun area with face painting and we've got a clown and balloon tying, this balloon animal stuff, and educational games. And we got the cornhole and the horseshoe going. So the food's going to be happening starting at 1. And then those fishermen are going to start coming in for the weigh-in, and things are going to get crazy. It's my understanding about 2:30 and 3 with everybody coming in with the weigh-in, and then the auction.
And I think we're lucky too, because the last couple of weeks we've lost that 105 degree temperature.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be near as hot and muggy as it's been the last few years.
One reminder on this: just like it's been every other year, at least one member of each participating team in the tournament has got to go to the pre-registration, and they're going to hold that at Red River South Marina next Thursday, August 23rd, and Friday, August 24th, from noon until 8 p.m. each day. At least one of you's got to go by and make an appearance there. They'll give you your wristbands. They'll give you all the stuff that you need to know. If there's any rule changes, anything that needs to be discussed, Joe and some of the other guys will be there to help you out with that. And Kelly, honestly, I think you've been the absolute best guest we've had in months, if not years.
Oh, well, I'm happy to come back anytime, Gary.
Well, thank you. I'm telling you right now.
You've done a great job.
You've added a dimension to our show today that we hadn't had, and I truly want you to know how much we appreciate that.
It's called class.
Well, I mean,
Please tell my boss. Please tell my boss at the fishing tournament.
Done deal.
I'm happy to help. LAHolyAngels.org. You can get registered online or just show up, like you said, and see Joe Thursday and Friday next week.
Kelly, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you guys next Saturday.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you.
We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Gary McCoy, Ranger, Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff,
That's me.
Mud Hen Mike Eccles, and if you want some great wild game recipes, check out our website, HUTDshow.com. Click on our recipe page for recipes that are sure to cure those hunger pains. This segment brought to you by Nichols Department Stores, Gamakatsu Hooks, Spro Lures, and Natchitoches Ford. Get ready for hunting season with a new F-150 4x4 from Natchitoches Ford, and tell them Hooking Up and Tracking Down sent you.
Amen.
Speaking of recipes, you said there's a recipe in here?
Yeah, on the very last page.
We got a recipe from
Carla.
Bellevue Meat?
Carla.
Carla hooked us up. Okay, this week it's Honey, what's for dinner? Hey, honey, what's for dinner? White bean soup with venison smoked sausage. I love bean soup. You remember the old days, the old Hayride kitchen bean soup they used to have?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I mean, wasn't that white beans back then? Or was that Pintos, you think?
I don't remember.
What was the one over by Centenary? That really good restaurant right across the street from Centenary.
Strong's.
George's?
No.
George's Grill.
Yeah, George's.
No. This was another. I'll think of it here in a minute.
Strong's.
They had bean soup.
Merle's.
Merle's was down in the corner.
No. I'll think of it in a minute. Go ahead.
He's lost.
No, I'm not lost. I ate there a lot.
Yeah, okay. It was George's, really Strong's, or Merle's.
Yes, that's the only three it could have been.
Yeah.
No, it ain't.
Oh, you know what he's talking about is the one that was down there that had
was
the
Bricadas.
Bricadas.
Yeah.
That's it. Bricadas.
Yeah.
They had the best white bean soup. I'm telling you, it was awesome.
I didn't know that Bricadas had anything but a steak.
I didn't know.
It was good soup.
Okay, white bean soup with venison smoked sausage, 2 pounds of Bellevue smoked sausage, sliced, original or hot. Are you crazy?
Yeah. Which one would you rather have?
Are you crazy? Don't you put original in there? Don't even get the original. Tell Chris Nesbitt, dude, when you run out of red pepper, add more.
Yeah, go buy some more.
That's right. 2 cans of navy beans, 1 can of pinto beans, 2 cans of bean and bacon soup, 1 can of water, 1 medium onion chopped and sautéed. What's the best way to saute onions without them having them stick to the pan, Mike?
The best way to saute onions?
Yeah, without them sticking to the pan.
Use a little olive oil.
Just stir them.
Okay.
Just stir them. Yeah, they're not going to stick.
Okay. Do you use cast iron or just a regular frying pan?
I use both, but I use cast iron a lot.
Okay.
They're not going to stick because they produce their own oil.
Oh, okay.
They produce a little oil. Just stir them.
So I'm the only one who can make onions stick.
Again, you use a little olive oil. I've done it before, but it works fine for me.
1 diced jalapeno pepper, garlic to taste. And I'm telling you right now, just from personal experience, it don't take much garlic to get it to taste.
No, you're right.
I mean, you don't put the whole jar in there.
No.
Pepper and salt to taste, and 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke. See, that's where I don't like that.
No, I'm not a big because it takes drops.
Yes.
So you're saying liquid smoke is optional?
I would say so because I don't know. It seems like you get that liquid smoke. It's got that mesquite, and it's like I don't like the mesquite charcoal. It gives me heartburn.
Yeah, I'm with you,
real
buddy.
bad.
I'm with you.
It's like
bud.
eating briquettes.
Yeah. Any rate, you combine all the ingredients in a crock pot, cook on high for 3 hours, mash up some of the beans if you like for a thicker soup. Serve with rice and a slice of hot cornbread. God, dog.
Sounds good, man.
And then tell the kids to get away from you.
Go to bed.
You know,
y'all go to bed.
You know, you are going to entertain yourself with flatulence for hours.
There's going to be some levitating sheets.
Yeah, buddy. You got some funny wit for us.
Well,
this
this
week.
is our little known and mostly useless bits of information this week. As a historical anecdote, this story was bagged of a few smiles through the years and definitely bears repeating. Nice play on words there. President Theodore Roosevelt was on a trip down south to settle a border dispute between Louisiana and Mississippi when he was invited to join a hunting party. Being a great outdoorsman as well and a savvy politician, he happily accepted. His enthusiasm was short-lived, however, when he was presented with a bear cub roped to a tree for an easy kill.
Oh, man.
Yeah, only in Louisiana or Mississippi. If I shot that little feller, I couldn't be able to look my boys in the face again, the appalled Roosevelt sputtered. The incident was depicted in a Washington Post cartoon captioned, "Roosevelt Draws the Line in Mississippi." The popular cartoon, in turn, inspired Brooklyn stuffed animal makers Morris and Rose Mictum to create a toy bear for the shop window. It proved to be widely popular, and the Mictums had to expand their operation to meet demands for the first teddy bear.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
So much so that the business eventually grew into the Ideal Toy Corporation.
Well, I'll be dang.
Yeah, and so to Teddy Roosevelt, whose humane act not only gave us the stuff of legend, but our favorite stuffed animal as well. Bully for you.
Well, I'll be done. How about some best times to fish, sir?
Here we go. This week's best time to fish. A dial Samurai best times to fish. This week is rated as poor. You don't want to go, Gary. All 3 days is poor. Don't let that keep you off the water, especially early and late in the day, though, when there's always a decent bite. We'll be under a half moon this weekend. Hot temperatures continue with highs in the mid-90s and lows in the lower 70s. Best times, early morning, late evening. Friday, 5:20 to 8:20 p.m. Sunrise 6:40, sunset 7:57. Saturday, 6:07 to 9:07 p.m. Sunrise 6:42, sunset 7:58. And on Sunday, 6:55 to 9:55 p.m. Sunrise 6:41, sunset 7:55. This has been your Daiwa Samurai Braid. Best times to fish.
Hey, Mike, your Thursday night tournaments that you hold every year over the summer. When's the championship for that?
That's the last Saturday in September. We'll be out on Cross Lake. We had an evening tournament to qualify, but this will be a day tournament. Start right after daylight and fish till either 2 or 3 o'clock. We'll make that call. I mean, if it gets back up in the 100 degrees, I'm going to cut it off at 2.
Yeah.
But you need to get by Bayou Outdoors and go ahead and enter. We had about 70 teams qualified for it. Somebody's going to win a Triton boat and a Mercury motor.
Wow.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's going to be a good turnout. And it's going to be a very, very good tournament. You can launch for the tournament. You can launch anywhere you want to, but you have got to come to the American Legion. We will release you in order on how you finished for the year in points. Anglers of the Year in the cash splash.
Who were your Anglers of the Year this year?
That was Bennett and Harrison Hopkins. Two
Way to
brothers.
go, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
Just high school and college anglers. They won it for the year, so they'll be boat number 1 going out. And, it's just going to be a good event.
What's separation on that? 30 seconds?
20 yards.
Okay. That's
what we generally do. Big Mike will be. I'll be on one end of the pier. Big Mike will be on the other. You idle past me. You go to the other end. Get on plane, and we don't let somebody else go there until they've got out of the way. So keep it safe.
That's kind of cool.
It's also
5 fish limit for that one?
No, it'll be 3 fish limit,
okay.
just like during the year. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It'll be just like only difference fishing
You're
during
fishing
the
day.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there any off limits on that?
Yes, the week before.
Okay.
5 days before.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So those guys getting ready for it, they're going to be – now, we've got a couple of other tournaments. There's going to be September the 8th on Cross Lake. Brad Havard, there's going to be a fundraiser for him on September 8th on Cross Lake. You just got to go to Brad Havard's Facebook page, and you'll see that. God love him. He has been, I want to say, in the Houston area for weeks, if not months now, trying to recover from some medical issues there, and his brother's doing all he can to try to help Brad because he's not getting paid during this time, and insurance didn't cover his transport over there. Just really insane. But there is also another tournament September the 8th.
September the 8th, a group of Caddo Parish sheriff deputies are working on this, and it's a fundraiser for the Gingerbread House. A Gingerbread House is a place where families and children go who have been abused, not just sexually but physically abused.
Sure.
And it's a great organization, and Dr. Corky Davis's son-in-law, Larry Pierce, I think was his name. I talked to him the other day. That deputy and another deputy are kind of heading this up, and it's going to be on Caddo Lake that day, Saturday. It'll be out of Earl G. Williams Park. It's a 5 fish limit. I think the entry fee is only $100, and but it's going to have a good payout. They're going to have a couple of places cash prizes, maybe $2,000, $2,500, depending on the amount of teams, and then they're going to have prizes. But it is a fundraiser for the Gingerbread House.
And the crazy part is dove season is going to start actually on September 1 this year.
Yep.
Opening day in the morning.
It can't get any earlier than that.
Yeah, exactly right. Also for your East Texas anglers, ABA Open Series, East Texas Division, Toledo Bend, Cypress Bend on September the 8th as well. So a lot of fishing still going on, guys. The next weekend, I will be at Sam Rayburn for the ABA Open Series, which will be held at Sam Rayburn. That's the Southeast Texas Division. That's our last one of the year before the 2-day championship in October. So
where will they hold the championship?
This year, the ABA and the BFL 2-day championships are both on Toledo Bend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And in October?
BFL is 29th and 30th of September, and the ABA is, let's see here, 20th and 21st of October.
Okay. So you got about a month separation on those two.
Got a little month there, got a little time.
Any reports from anybody who's been out in the woods, Hunter, any of those guys? What kind of a deer herd have we got this year?
Nope. Hunter says get ready for early fall, though.
Really?
Yep. He said there's already leaves changing in the woods, and he goes by a particular hazy look. He said, when you start getting that hazy look.
That's the Sahara Desert dust that's falling on us right now.
Maybe it is.
You know what's bad when you got African dust falling?
Probably actually some cooler nights, because there's been a couple of mornings when I walk out and, sometimes I walk out my back door and stand there with my pants unzipped off the back porch. But at daylight, we've had a little bit of fog.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, and it's early for that.
Yeah.
I bet that's what he's referring to.
It might be.
Or it could just be the big fog of mosquitoes.
I would love to see a little bit cooler weather right now. This past week we had one night, it got down to like 69 or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow, is this great. And then that day, it was only like 84, 85. Now we're back to the mid to upper 90s now. And with poor fishing this weekend, it's probably a good weekend to do a little night fishing if that's what you were thinking about doing.
Yeah, exactly right. We don't have final word this week.
Okay.
For some reason, it is gone. And I don't know what happened to it.
Well, make sure you tune in again Saturday morning, 6 until 8 o'clock. And if you've got any questions, anything that you heard on the show or want to hear again, it's right there on the website, HUTDshow.com. We are hooking up and tracking down 1130, the Tiger.
Such a strange situation, stopping every 100 miles, calling back.